Okay, I talk something slightly different from a few people discussed before. This is about image processing. The title is Reversible Data Hiding for Digital Image. That means we can hide certain data into the image. If necessary, we can extract the hidden data, and the image will go back to original image exactly. So that is what do we call it, reversible data hiding. And yeah, so as we said here, that basically this is data embedding at the top. I don't know if this is clear. Not that bright. The top, and the extraction is at the bottom. So after the data, hidden data extracted outside, the image go back to original exactly. Then, for instance, these two images, and the left-hand side image is a biomedical image, and we can 512 by 512 is the image size, 512 pixel horizontal, 512 pixel vertical. Then we can hide 7,000 bytes and reversibly. Then we notice that the American, that document can completely hidden inside of this image, the left-hand side image. The right-hand side image, we hide something like 2,000 bytes. And those days, those results are early days even. So now we can even be more powerful than shown in these two images. And this slide to say, in this category, there's three different groups of techniques. And those works are a little bit earlier and later. At the bottom, as we show here, that actually there's a lot of new algorithm coming out. So the first category is that we try to hide not a large number of data just for authentication purpose, because you can hide the images, certain characteristics, then you can extract it outside. That is for authentication. The second category is for that, the third category, actually, the second one, that is we can hide the data, retrieve the data reversibly. But also, if the image goes through JPEG compression, lose certain data, certainly we cannot completely recover original image, but we can completely extract the hidden data for certain purposes. The third category is the bottom, that is majority of that reversible data hiding algorithm. The purpose is to hide more and with the higher signal noise ratio, the high quality of the images. And for instance, this is one of the algorithms developed in that 2003 and has been cited more than 1,200 times. So this is a histogram of one of the images, Lena image I will going to show you, lady images. So the left-hand side is empty. Right-hand side also empty, but most majority, you have those histograms, have a pixel, assume those values. We notice that the high peak is in the top. The lower peak is at the bottom. Then we can shift the situation, make everything towards the right-hand side from the highest peak value, shift by 1 unit towards the right-hand side. Then things change because we can have the peak and the zero that become a pair. Then we can hide the data. The way we do data hiding is that if you want to hide a binary one, for instance, you shift that value to the empty position. Otherwise, you keep it remain. Then you record that you can using that this space to hide the data there. Then later we can completely reconstruct it. So this is the image in the digital image called the Lena image, the typical test images. Then for this one, we can hide that amount of data like 7,000 something. Then the PSNR, that is peak signal noise ratio, is like 53.8 dB. So that's a very high quality of reconstructed images. Then for the data retrieval, you just do the opposite because we know where you, hide the data. So you can extract the data, binary 1, binary 0 out. Then go back, you have a space there, empty space there. You can shift it back. So that's why we can retrieve the data completely. And here try to say the peak signal noise ratio according to this way to handle the data. The minimum one, PSNR is like 48 dBs. That's pretty high, and that can be proved. And this is another algorithm more based on the previous one and more advanced than the previous one, such that we utilize two things. One is that we hide the data. Wait, let me see. I cannot leak this, but so here we have a prediction error, and with the following 4 thresholds. First threshold is where you hide the data, that is T. Second is fluctuation, have a threshold we call TF. Namely, if fluctuation is too large, we do not hide. Except fluctuation is smaller, then we hide the data. Then the last threshold called left and right, TL and T right. That is left-hand side and the right-hand side, how much we should shift the original image such that we leave space to hide the data, and we do not have the data image after data hiding expanded beyond 255 and below 0. That can be taken care of by using these 4 thresholds. So the purpose, the way we do is we only select those perturbation error. PE is smaller than T, then we hide the data. The second is, let's see, prediction error. The other is the TF, namely, one is prediction error, another is fluctuation. If fluctuation is too much, we do not hide. If fluctuation is smaller, we hide. That's for TF. Then TL and TR is try to prevent that image, we call the overflow and underflow. But in this work, different from what we did before, is that for this TL and TR, we utilize them for optimality as well. Namely, we not only want to avoid the underflow and the overflow, but also we try to adjust these 2 parameters to achieve the optimality. And this is the definition of that prediction error, and those A elements surrounding the center. Then you have a difference, we have the prediction error called PE, formulated in the first equation, and the fluctuation is F in the third line of equation. This is about the histogram shifting TL and TR, because if you shift it, you leave space. After data embedding, you maybe expand the data, but we guarantee the data will not below 0, will not above the 255, because those are boundary. The digital image cannot afford the data beyond this region. And this is a block diagram for how to do that. I think I do not go to those details. So basically those 4 parameters, T, TF, TL, TR, and also we try to optimize that. Namely, we achieve those values in the to achieve optimal performance. For instance, these 2 figures, in the left-hand side, we have a red one. Right-hand side, a few data. We also have the red one. Then we see for the left-hand side, the T is -5. The TF is 2200. The TL is 0. TI is 0. For the right-hand side, the TFT is -7, TF is 800, TR is 5, TR is 0. But we do see right-hand side in the middle have a red number, which is 37.97, which is higher than the left-hand side, which is 37.442. That means adjust these 4 parameters, we possibly can achieve the optimal performance. And this further, clarified in this figure. And you see in the left-hand side of the top, the data embedding rate is 0.02 bits per pixel. The bottom is 0.04. Then 4 parameters, those are optimal parameters already determined, and we can get that PSNR. The top one is 67, that dB. The bottom one is 62.05 dB. So adjust these 4 parameters, we can get optimal. And this is one of the test images utilized by JPEG 2000. The left-hand side is the original image, and the right-hand side is the image you already have the data hidden inside. The amount of hidden inside is 0.7 BPP. BPP stands for bits per pixel. So every pixel can hide the data 0.7, but we have 512 by 512, almost 250,000 pixels, so we can hide quite a lot of data. And this is a histogram of this woman image. The top is the original image. We notice that both 0 and 255 have a value, assume those pixel value, especially for 0. And there's a high peak. So this is one of the JPEG 2000 test images, because if the people think their algorithm is good, then in those tough images, if you can perform better, then your performance will be verified. Totally, those 8 test images. This is one of the 8. The bottom is the image after data hiding in our exam work and showing the histogram change a little bit, but not that much. And this is the performance by our algorithm compared with the rest of algorithm. The right-hand side is BPP, how many bits per second, how much of data we already hidden inside. The vertical axis is PSNR. That is the higher the better. And you can see the top line is our performance and which performs the best. This is a Lena image, also popularly used in digital image as one of the test images. Also here, the horizontal is a payload and the vertical is a PSNR, and you can see our algorithm also performs the best. This is another image called Barbara, and similar things our algorithm perform well. And then I talk about very briefly about some new development for the reversible data hiding. One work is we come up with a work by using CDMA. Then we can prove that we can achieve the best performance when the embedding rate is really high. But in the previous work, I just show you that is for relatively low embedding rate, and that algorithm can achieve the best performance. The second point is we have some work like you have stereo image, but you can transmit only one image, say right image. Then left-hand side image will be hidden inside of the right image. That will be able to have application in the remote education or medical, the remote medicine something. Another point is we use different image quality measurement. Currently, as we just mentioned, we popularly use how many data you embedded. Then we use PSNR, namely the image signal noise ratio is high, the better. But actually we found that sometimes for some applications, the PSNR is not a key issue. The quality could be represented by that contrast enhancement. So in the bottom of this slide, we show that we have some work along this line and recently published. So as a conclusion, we can say we expect there are more and more papers published in reversible data hiding. Second is this is an active research area. The last point we would like to say is that it will have wide applications expected. I think I've finished.